All stand, please, for the pledge, and I'd like to ask Ronnie if he could lead us, please. Okay, this is the Planning and Zoning Board. It's an advisory board to which makes recommendations to the county commissioners. And they will make the final decisions on all these items. All items on today's agenda will be heard by the county commission on December 3rd. When a motion ends in any kind of a split vote, a roll call vote may be taken to ensure accuracy. As a reminder, each member who makes a motion or a second needs to turn their microphone on so that the voices can be on record. At this time, if any board member has had any ex parte communication regarding any application, please disclose so now. All right. I need a motion for the approval of the P&Z minutes from October 5th and a second, please.
I'll second it.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
We got a motion by Pete, got a second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously. All right, sir. Item 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 1 is Flora, Ohio requests a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to change the future land use designation from Res 4 to NC Neighborhood Commercial. It's application 20PZ00089. It's located in District 3.
Okay, is the applicant here? Sir, if you could state your name and address for the record there.
Jack Spira, 5205 Babcock Street, Palm Bay, 32905. I'm the attorney representing the applicant, Flora, Ohio LLC. The staff indicated this is a request to change a comprehensive land designation from RES4 to NC Neighborhood Commercial. This is sort of a unique situation. This property has been zoned.
Could you pull your mic up just a little? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This property has been zoned BU1A since 1976. For some reason, in 1988, some 12 years later, when this property had a comprehensive plan attached to it, it then showed the comprehensive plan is RES4 residential. We're trying, at this point in time, asking that the board recommend approval to change the designation back to NC Neighborhood Commercial so that the zoning would be consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? All right. Seeing that, I bring it back to the board. Do we have any questions for Mr. Spira?
I do. Why was it changed back? Why did it go from BU1 and then come back?
It always has been BU1.
Yeah, but why did they change it back to RS?
They didn't. The comprehensive plan went to RES4.
So in other words, you just retained the BU1A?
BU1A has always been that way. And when they made the comprehensive plan in 1988, for some reason, they didn't make the comprehensive plan consistent with the zoning. The zoning has always been BU1A.
Now I understand. I was confused.
I can't explain it either.
I know.
Any other questions I can answer?
Is that about the same time the Lakes of Melbourne was built?
I'm not sure when they were built. I mean, certainly it's probably around the same time, but I don't know what effect that had on it because, and it's possible, I think it's a good question, it's possible that when someone anticipated the other area of the Lakes of Melbourne were being built, and maybe someone decided, well, we'll put the same comprehensive plan designation on it, but that's inconsistent with the fact it was always commercial at that time. But it's possible that was at that time.
Jack, see, that's the old Bob Mosher property there. It used to be agriculture for years.
Okay.
And they kept that corner is what happened.
Okay.
Now I understand it.
Okay. Any other questions?
How many units in the site plan are going to be developed there?
I think they're probably looking at 2 units.
Two?
Yeah, two commercial units over there. It's a 3.32 acre parcel.
Mr. Chair.
All right. I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve this item.
Okay, you got a motion by Pete, a second by Ronnie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That
you.
motion passed
Thank you.
unanimously.
Item
All right,
number
sir.
2 is John Haley requests a change of zoning classification from RU-1-9 to RU-1-7. It's application number 20Z00025. It's located in District 4.
Okay, is the applicant here? If you could just give us 1 minute, sir, he's going to clean that mic off for you. And I do have here, I think all the board members up here have in favor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir. If you could state your name and address for the record.
My name is John Haley. My address is 1621 Bottle Palm Way. I live immediately adjacent to this property, so I am the neighbor directly to the south. As indicated, I've asked the neighbors to weigh in on this project. 6 of them, I believe, have signed letters of support. To this point, we've had nobody be against it. There used to be 2 residential structures on this, as well as a garage. We have removed those residential structures and the garage. Additionally, we were concerned about the state of the previous septic tank. We have since had that removed, and obviously when we build, we would put in the new septic tanks that comply with anything around the river. Additionally, my property, which is directly adjacent, was approved for the oyster restoration project. We envision asking for this project to be brought in as well, which benefits the Indian River. As I said, I live directly adjacent to this property on a lot the same size, basically a 50-foot wide lot, and that's what we're proposing is 2 50-foot wide lots so we can build 2 houses on them.
Okay.
Any questions?
Hold on 1 second, sir. Do we have anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? It's making it easier. So seeing that, we're going to bring it back to the board. Does anyone have any questions here for Mr. Haley?
Mr. Chair, the only question I did have was about the advanced septic, which you answered. So if there are no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve this item as well.
Second.
Got a motion by Pete. We got a second by Mr. McClellan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Item 3, please.
Jason A. and Krista N. Spina request a change of zoning classification from GU and AU to all AU. Application number is 20Z00026, located in District 1.
Is the applicant here? And if you could, sir, your name and address for the record when you get there to the microphone.
Jason Spina, 5035 Pine Street, Cocoa, Florida, 32927.
And a little bit about what you're looking to do here.
I bought the property next door a couple years ago, and my existing piece that I'm living on is AU. I just wanted to make it all one piece to follow the AU zoning.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? Seeing that, I'll bring it back to the board. Any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I have
sir.
a question. Do you plan on having any kind of commercial activities?
No.
Since this is AU, you can do packing, processing, sales?
No, just
Okay.
want to have the whole almost 5 acres as ag. Mainly one day I want to put a shop over there, and I think I was limited size-wise if I left at GU, if I understood correctly.
You just made it consistent with surrounding properties anyway.
Yeah.
Chairman, I move for approval.
Yeah, I'll second.
I'll second it.
We got a motion by Ronnie, a second by Ben. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously.
Thank you all.
Yes, sir. Item 4.
Reed B. Hart and Gail Skinner Hart request a change of zoning classification from GU to RR-1. Application number is 20Z00027. It's located in District 1.
Is the applicant here? I know I sound like a broken record, but when you get to the mic, if you would, your name and address for the record.
Certainly. My name is Gail Skinner Hart. The address is 5530 Simpson Place, Cocoa, Florida, 32926.
And what are you looking to do here, ma'am?
I would like to rezone both parcels of property from GU to the RR.
Looking to build houses,
Actually, barn,
a barn?
horses,
Okay.
for personal use only.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this item? Seeing that, I bring it back to the board. Do we have any questions for her?
Why don't you want to go AU?
Based on my conversations with the Planning and Development Board, the indication was that we would leave them RR, and because we're not pulling them together, we're still leaving them as separate parcels.
Oh, okay. Doesn't really make any difference, but whatever.
That was his recommendation to me.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, it's either way.
I motion to accept the offer.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Joe, a second by Ronnie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5.
Donald Minnick requests a change of zoning classification from AU and EU-2 with a BDP to all EU-2 and the removal of a BDP. Application number is 20Z00028. It is located in District 1.
Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. If you could please come up to the mic and state your name and address for the record.
Donald Minnick, 1968 Turpentine Road, Mims, Florida, 32754,
And why are you looking for this change, sir?
to make the lot buildable.
It's not buildable as we speak.
No, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? Seeing that, I bring it back to the board. We got any questions for him?
Mr. Chairman, if I can just interrupt for a second. Fixing the zoning does not make the lot buildable. There's other different characteristics that would make the lot buildable. What this application does is it corrects the split zoning that's on the property. So I just wanted to clarify that there's other stipulations that would make this lot buildable, not just the zoning, which you're hearing today. Thank you.
So, but they want to remove the BDP.
Yes, the BDP had stipulations in there about the open space that came in with the townhomes. For whatever reason, this lot was platted outside, was platted as a separate lot. So the BDP, I don't know if it was done in error, but it really doesn't pertain to this lot.
Yeah, I can understand that, yeah.
So what other processes does he need to do? Does it just need approval here and then he can build on it, or you said there was something else?
Well, this is just the first hearing for the rezoning. The next step would be to be heard by the Board of County Commissioners for the rezoning part of that. So if the board approves the zoning request, then the next step would be to file for a building permit.
Okay.
I had a question for staff. Do other properties have this golf cart pathway, do other properties that have this golf cart on them have easements? That seemed to be in the staff's concern, that there was an easement, that he needs to have an easement.
Yes, that's a private matter, just to make the board members aware that there is a golf cart easement, but whatever those stipulations are, you would not be able to have a structure that's built in there.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Well, forgive me for being a little goofy here, but all we're doing, actually, you're taking the AU off into BDP and turning it all into EU2.
Correct. So it's really hard to see from the zoning map,
Yeah.
but there's a thick blue, purple line between that. So half of the property is EU.
Split.
And the other part is AU. So both of those zoning district requires a certain amount of area.
Yeah.
So the problem is that neither one of them works. So this rezoning EU2 will make that lot consistent with the zoning
feasible.
district.
Yeah,
So it's basically a cleanup matter.
so it's split, I understand.
Consistent with surroundings.
Yeah, I understand what he's doing.
I motion we accept it.
Second.
Got a motion by Joe, a second by Ben. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously.
All right, thanks.
Yes, sir. Item 6.
Lazy River Investments requests a change of zoning classification from RU-1-13 to AUL. Application number is 20Z00030. It's located in District 3.
Is the applicant here? Yes, ma'am. If you could come to the mic there to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Young. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Dean Mead. Our address is 7380 Morrell Road, Suite 200, Viera, Florida 32940. We're here before you on behalf of the applicant, Lazy River Investments, and we have our team here in the event we need their help to answer any questions that you or the public may have. As staff mentioned in their staff report, this property is located southwest of Fleming Grant Road and Seabird Lane in District 3, and it's approximately 20.39 acres. We know the board is familiar with this property, as this is the third time that the applicant has come before the board in the last 18 months looking to zone the property properly to be consistent with the current future land use. Currently, the property is zoned RU-113, and this property, along with most of the properties in this area, were zoned prior to the 1988 comp plan that was approved by Brevard County. That zoning of RU-113, after the comp plan was approved in 1988, is now inconsistent with the current future land use, which is 1 unit per 2.5 acres. So we are here in an effort to get the zoning approved to be consistent with the future land use. So downzoning the property from RU-113 to what our application is for, which is Ag Light. In an effort to develop the property consistent with the surrounding residential properties and how they're currently developed, the applicant came before you on 2 other prior occasions with zoning applications, both of which this board approved at the time. The first one being a large-scale comp plan to amend the future land use from 1 unit per 2.5 acres to 1 unit per acre, with the binding development plan to preserve the development consistent with that, which would be a changed future land use. The submittal, had it been approved by the county, which it was not, would have yielded closer to 20 lots for the property. Second, the second application was for just simply a binding development plan to limit the property to 8 units, and that was in an effort to address some of the concerns, or the main stated concern from the neighbors that had come forward with some opposition. Their main concern, at least from the planning, from the minutes from that planning and zoning board meeting, was how many units were going to be on there. We don't want them to be 20 units on there. So in an effort to address that concern, the binding development plan would have limited to 8 units per the future land use at the time. In working with staff, and the board also approved that second BDP, but it also was denied at the county commission level. And working with staff and on their advice and guidance, we are now seeking a zoning designation compatible with the current future land use that would limit the site to 8 lots, 1 per 2.5 acres. This application for compatible zoning is the first step in the process of development. We have to have compatible zoning in order to move forward with any development of any development plans for the property. In our discussions with staff, they recommended either the AU Ag designation or the AU Light zoning classifications as compatible with both the future land use and consistent with the surrounding residential area, as you can glean from the staff report. We chose the AU Light category, which is a subset of AU, because it limited the type of agricultural uses by permitting only those that are of a personal, non-commercial nature, which is more consistent with the residential uses in the area than the straight ag designation would have been. The AU light zoning classification requires a minimum of 2.5 acres per lot, which are much larger than many of the lot sizes that have been developed in that area because they were developed consistent with what is now incompatible zoning of RU 113. So the 2.5 acres per lot is still keeping with the residential rural character of the area. This site, as you can see from the prior comments and staff's report, faces other development challenges it will have to work through, which may be difficult to engineer the site to yield the total 8 lots. So the lot specifications for the AU light classification affords some level of flexibility for lot configurations, which is another reason why we are seeking AU light as compatible zoning. So our request is both consistent with the existing future land use, which is the lowest residential density permitted, and compatible with the surrounding rural residential development of the area. And it complies with the future land use policies and elements that the board is tasked with reviewing. So if you've got any other questions, we've got our engineer here as well as some other members of our team.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience would like to speak for or against this item? Well, that's good news.
I thought I remembered this.
And seeing that, I'll bring it back to the board.
Yeah. You don't want to let me speak first?
Do what?
You let me speak first?
Well, we're going to have some questions for you, I think.
Okay, well, I just wanted, just a couple things, if you don't mind. First.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Bruce Moya with MBV Engineering at 1250 West O'Galley Boulevard, for the record. And for the record, I thought you guys looked good when I sit up there, but you look really good down here.
That'll get you nowhere, buddy.
I know.
That'll get you nowhere.
I know. But yeah, you guys have seen this before. Obviously, I was the one that presented it. On this property, there was 3 possibilities. There's 3 ways to make it buildable. One is to change the zoning, one is to change the future land use, and one is to do a BDP. So we tried the BDP, that didn't work. We tried to change the land use, that didn't work. This is very similar to your very first item. Back in 1988, the county adopted a comprehensive plan. And whatever the existing zoning on the property, whether it was consistent or not, the comp plan got adopted, and the county at that point in time said, we're just going to make everybody that owns property that's not consistent come in and ask for it to be consistent. That was their decision. I guess it was too much of a chore to also do an administrative rezoning of everybody's property that the comp plan affected. So that's why we're here. That's why the first item was here, because that 1988 comp plan created a nonconformity. So this is the last way that this property can be brought into conformance. It's the simplest. It's just strictly change the zoning to be AU, so that the zoning matches the comp plan, the lot size matches the density. It makes it consistent. So, but this time they brought the lawyers in instead of just me. So hopefully we'll get a third approval from this board and get some approvals at the county commission level, because I think that, I think that it's kind of a property rights issue that there's got to be a way to make this property consistent, because they had all these, they actually had the ability to put 13 units per acre on this property before the comp plan was adopted.
That's correct.
That would have been 36 units. So I think that getting the 1 unit per 2.5 acres is.
Well, Bruce, wasn't there
good.
something with the water? Wasn't there something there with the?
There's no water, there's no sewer, there's no utilities.
I mean, yeah, but it's the runoff or something. I remember something about.
Well, if they do AU and they do the subdivision, then they'll have to meet all of the land development or code requirements.
Yeah.
So we think this is the best way to do it.
This is the most sensible.
And it's the only
thing.
way left. So we hope that you approve it again.
And this, Mr. Chair, if I may, this is the least dense option you guys have presented,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And we've approved higher density,
Yes,
so
sir.
this shouldn't be an
Yes,
issue.
sir.
Now, runoff they're talking about, is that near the Indian River?
It actually borders the Sebastian River.
Sebastian River.
Yes, sir.
And all the neighbors are agreeing.
I don't know that. I'm just here to talk and say that. Laura's taken the lead, and she's been the one dealing with that. So if you have any, unless you have any more questions for me, I'm going to let her handle the rest of it.
I think what you're doing is a good idea.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, one question for Ms. Laura here. With the AU Light, do you plan on doing any type of agritourism or anything like that on the property?
No, we don't, and it's not, I don't think agritourism would fit in the AU Light category. That's one of the reasons why we chose it to stick with the rural residential area. You can't have any agricultural commercial ventures out there. It would all be of a private nature, per the zoning category.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chair, I
Is there a
move,
Site plan developed for it then?
Not yet. This is our first step. We didn't want to spend a ton of money doing all that development work if we couldn't even get compatible zoning.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Ben, a second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much.
All right, good luck. Item 7, please, sir.
There we go. Watermark Investors LLC requests an amendment to the existing PUD. Application number is 20Z00032. It's located in District 1.
And this is the applicant.
Yes, good evening. Again, Bruce Moy with MBB Engineering. So this is the item that we really came here for. So this is, you might remember this project. This is a fairly large residential development on US 1 and Camp Road. It was, we got PUD zoning. So in the beginning, when we did the PUD approval, we didn't have a whole lot of information. So once we got the zoning, we went ahead and got all our topos and tree surveys and environmental reports and all kinds of stuff, and did the formal design and made submittal to the county for subdivision review. At that time, some of the comments of the review process uncovered some issues that were not addressed in the first approval. One of those being that the number of units required 3 access points, not 2. That was not, that was for whatever reason, that was not discovered in the first round. And in the first round, we actually proposed more lots. We're cutting back, I think it's 54 lots, less than what we asked for previously. But regardless, we need that 3rd access, so we're asking for approval of that 3rd access. Now that we have an interested developer or home builder, they want to phase the project. That was not phased in the original submittal, so we want to phase it. Those plans are in there, how we're phasing the project. I believe it's in 4 separate phases. We have also, now we know how many trees are on that property, what kind of trees, scrub oaks, large oaks. So we've made large preservation tracts for those trees, thus reducing the lot count. And our active open space that we had platted, we're not changing the size of it, but we are putting about half of it into preservation because of the amount of trees that are there. But we're still going to have the active open space amenities. We're just going to put them in we're going to condense them into a smaller area. So we're asking for a reduction of what was previously approved on the active open space. It still meets the minimum requirement, we believe, but it's just less. We're not going to be using that whole tract for active open space. We're only going to be using part of it because we're going to do a lot of preservation of the existing vegetation. In addition to that, we're asking for 2 waivers. One, we're asking for the waiver that, well, the one I just said about the open space, and then the other one is the 15-foot perimeter buffer tract. We're asking for a waiver of that on the west end because there's an existing industrial driveway that encroaches on our property. So rather than go through all the hassle of telling them to move their driveway out of our property and onto their easement that they have, it was just built in the wrong place. So we're just asking to waive that buffer requirement because we can't preserve something that's not there.
But remove
just in that area.
Along that
where that driveway, yeah, where that existing driveway is, yes. And I believe that basically covers it. The development itself is very similar to what was approved. Everything else is changed. It's less intense. We would ask that there was one comment about making the 3rd access ingress emergency only. We'd like that to just be an open driveway because it's all going to be public roads and there'll be free-flowing traffic back, through those public roads. So the people to the north can get to Camp Road, and we can go to, or use, whatever. It'll all be just public and open to everybody to use, rather than restricted.
Bruce, that was the driveway that's coming through the
North
subdivision?
end, the northwest end
The north, yeah.
property. Yeah, we added that.
Monroe to Broadway?
Yes.
Okay.
There's really no reason for our project to go north through their property. It's
Yeah.
more for them to get through our property to get to Camp Road without having to go out to US 1.
Yeah, they would be, yeah, I understand that.
So that's basically it. So if you have any questions, I'm here, or give me time to provide if there's anything from the audience. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak for or against this item?
Wait, one more thing. I thought I read in the report that this was just for it was a continuing waiver, and it was only included just for your reference, but we're still asking for the 40-foot minimum lot width. So if that's a waiver that's required, we want to maintain that from previous.
Okay, ma'am, you could come up. And if you would, state your name and address for the record. Give him 1 second, please.
Which address do you want? The one it involved or the one I live
You're
at?
the one where you live.
Oh, Patricia Baxter, 5700 Friendly Street, Cocoa, Florida, 32927. And I got this notice in the mail. And I have a property that is a rental property off MacArthur Circle, which is in between the Camp Road and Broadway. So what I'm hearing from him is this only involves Camp Road. It would not involve my property. So why'd they send me a notice?
Yeah, there's so many, the landowners within so many feet or miles or whatever
Yes,
have to
only
be,
500 feet.
need to be noticed.
Okay.
So you're beyond that?
No, I guess I'm 500 feet from it. I wasn't given enough information to do very much history or research.
That's just a notice to tell you what's going on. So,
Oh, okay.
It's not going to affect you any, unless you don't like it, unless you don't want the
No,
project.
I don't mind. I
Yeah,
don't have a
it's-
problem with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for or against this item? Mr. Bruce, could you come back up?
Yes, sir.
No.
Any questions?
What items were you looking to waive again? I know the 40-foot lot size.
40-foot lot size, 15-foot perimeter buffer at the west end where the industrial drive is, and the open space, active open space requirement of 5.5
5.5 to
from
2.6.
5.5 to 2.6. Yeah.
And then the third access point?
And well, that's not really a waiver.
Okay.
We're not asking to waive that requirement. We
And
were
that-
going to consider asking for that to be waived, but we're just going to comply with it.
And
Um,
that third access point would be for emergency use only, or it's going to be
It'll
open?
just be, it's public road, so it'll stay open.
Cool.
Yep.
Thanks, sir.
And just so, and I don't know what happened here too, I think this was overlooked, but in the original approval, the required active open space was only labeled on the plan at 1.9 acres. But when they did the review, they found out that that was an error, it should have been 5.5. So,
And you're reducing it from 417 lots to 360.
yeah, we're not really reducing any of the open space, we're actually increasing it because we're having less lots.
Yeah.
Even though you're decreasing the open space, we're increasing the preservation.
We're but yeah, because there's a difference between active open space and passive open space and preservation. So overall, it's less developed land in the subdivision, but the active there'll be more preservation than actual active area, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Does this reduced density allow you to do that?
Well, it was, the county has a pretty good preservation requirement, and if we did go and the cost to take out a lot of that vegetation was cost prohibitive, so it was in our best interest to do more preservation because the mitigation costs were significant. So it was easier to lose lots than to pay more for.
That's true.
You know.
Yeah.
But
So-
net-wise, there's less lots.
There's
So it's
54 less
density.
lots, yes, sir.
And give you more opportunity to develop the rest of it then.
Yes, sir. It'll be a lot nicer looking, for sure.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve with the 40-foot lots, the 15-foot barrier waiver on the west side, the 5.5 to 2.6 acres for open space requirement, and the third access point to be for public as well.
I second, just exactly what Peter said.
Got a motion by Peter, a second by Ronnie. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
That motion passed unanimously. Okay, I think we're to the last item, aren't we, staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item H8, Tropical Manor Holdings LLC requests a change of zoning classification from RU-1-7 and RU-2-30 to RU-2-12 with a BDP limited to the maximum of 85 units. Its application number 20Z00033. It's located in District 2.
Yes, sir. You the applicant? If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Ken Metcalf. My address is 101 East College Avenue, Tallahassee, Florida, Suite 700. So I think I came the farthest for this rezoning, pretty safe to say. It was an excuse to see my son at UCF, so that appreciated the diversion. So, I'm here as agent for the property owner. As you may know, this is a 1960s Section 8 affordable housing project. There are 85 units on the property. This property has, like you've heard for some others, this property has split zoning. So as staff mentioned, a part of the property is zoned RU-1-7, which only allows single-family homes and only allows a density of 1 unit per acre. Most of the property, 7.6 acres out of the 8.5 acres, is zoned RU-230, allows 30 units per acre. All we're trying to do is to make the multifamily use conforming. So we're asking for a single zoning district, the RU-112, that will make the multifamily existing land use conforming in terms of the use, the permitted uses, as well as the density. This property is designated as residential 15 on the future land use map. So this will also make the zoning conforming to the RU-15 designation in the comprehensive plan. We're not proposing to increase any units on the property. There is a contract purchaser that I've also been working with that has a HUD application in process to do some improvements, improve the recreational amenities on the property. They're proposing to add a basketball court, little tot lot for the kids, splash park, just some minor improvements like that. They're going to add a few parking spaces to improve their ADA compliance for disabled folks. And that's really all there is to it. As you may know, when you go through the HUD process, they look closely at whether the use is conforming. And so we'd really like to have a conforming use, conforming density status, so it makes those loan paperwork, makes the loan paperwork go through a little bit easier with HUD. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I should mention that there was one objection from Keith and Brenda Brown, who had sent an email. I believe that they were confused and thought we were adding 85 more units to the property. If they're here, I can assure them we're not doing that.
How many units are you looking for?
We're just looking to make the existing units conforming. So there are 85 units on the property. That comes out to a density of 10.05 units per acre. We would have gone with the RU110 or RU210 designation had that been enough density to make us conforming. We had to bump it up to RU112 or RU212, excuse me, to make the density conforming. So we're not adding any units. We're just trying to make the existing units conforming. And we've also agreed to a binding development plan that makes clear that the property will be maintained with only 85 units.
So you've already jumped through all the hoops with HUD?
We have.
Yeah.
Well, this is already approved under the current for 127 units, but they were never developed.
Right, there are 85 on the,
85.
that's correct.
Is there anything in there that says we can limit it to 85? Or it should be limited?
Mr. Chairman, if I can jump in for a second, hopefully I can clarify things.
Pardon? Thank you, Zach.
So there's two zonings on the property. There's RU 1-7 with what Mr. Metcalf had said is that only allows for single-family residential. There's apartments that are on the property. The RU 2-30 is also on the property, which is apartments. And so what he's asking to do is to bring the zoning into compliance because both of those are not consistent with what's on the property and what the comp plan does.
Yep.
He's not trying to build any more units than what is already there. He's asking for 85 units. That's what's already on the property, and that BDP will cap the number of units to 85. So if there's a new owner later on, in order to build more units, he would have to come back to amend that BDP. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. All right, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak for or against this item? Yes, sir. Well, hold on one second, sir. Come on up and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Tom Durr, 5470 Lovett Drive, and this is in with 500 feet of our house. And all the homes in our area are nice homes, minimum of an acre, homes in there from $450,000 to $650,000. And as he said, this is low-income housing. The 85 units would be far more than 3 times the amount of homes that are there. In addition to that, what he doesn't bring up is that's the headwaters for Sykes Creek. And therefore, you've got all these additional septic tanks. And where will they drain? They'll drain into the Banana and Indian River. So it's a nasty project. And it's going to dilute the quality of living in our area. That's the fundamental fact. Plus the fact there'll be enormous 3, maybe 4 or 5 times as many traffic cars driving down what they call Kings Way, which is it's a quiet little street. It's no longer going to be a quiet little street. I mean, it's just ridiculous. This is a project. There's all kinds of places to build these low-income housing. This is not one of them. Any questions?
I have a question. It appears from the satellite view that I'm looking at it now that people are already living in this housing. Is that correct?
Are we living in there?
No, but there's people living there now.
Well, but there's not 85 units there. Plus the fact you open up for 85 units, what are you going to do just down the street a little ways? Get another 85 units? Another 85 units? Another 85 units? You set that up, you open the door for a huge expansion of that kind of quality of homes. Just go down the street and look at all the apartments that are there. Look what happens. That's what you're talking about.
Can you confirm that there's 85 units there already?
There's no 85 units there.
Hold on one second, please.
I'll have Mr. Metcalf explain to what's on the property already.
Okay, I'll have him address that as soon as. Are you done, sir?
You have any questions? I am.
Yeah, because you're going to get one shot, so I just want.
One shot?
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to talk some more?
If you need to.
If obviously, this is an emotional thing.
Yes, sir.
And it's an emotional for a lot of reasons. Because I really believe in the environment very, very strongly. And there's a canal right behind our house. And you're talking about having this just on the other side of the canal, right? On the other side of that, there's a swampy area. You're talking about a mess,
Okay.
to say the least.
Where's the neighbors at? I mean, I don't understand.
Oh, I've talked, well, they're not here.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, but you're-
everybody
you're-
I've talked to, all of our neighbors I talked to, object to this.
Well, they needed to be here.
Well,
But see,
that's,
see, that's how we base a lot of our opinion on what is conforming areas, what you people
all
think.
right, I can't speak for them,
I
all
know,
right?
but still,
But
someone's,
I'm telling you, the simple facts of life are that this project is a contaminating project in several different ways. Number one, it's contaminating with the pollution of the septic tanks that are going to be there that will eventually drain into the Sykes Creek, which drains into the Banana River and the Indian River. And it's a contamination as far as the amount of traffic that it's going to bring. It's a contamination as far as the devaluation of our property that's around it. Low-income housing doesn't increase the value of your property. And so consequently, it's a contamination project from bottom to top.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the applicant.
Yes, sir.
For the applicant.
All right. You good, sir?
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there 85 units on this property?
There are.
So you're not adding or subtracting any units to the property?
We're not adding any units. There are 85 existing units on the property. It's served by central wastewater facilities. There won't be any septic tanks. I think the gentleman is, with all due respect, I think he is either mistaken about the location of the property that he's thinking about. This is a built property. We're not adding a single unit.
I don't mean to be standing, talking out of turn here. That's what we, on this board, have asked and begged you people to do for years and years and years and years and years. Get with your neighbors so everybody will understand. Obviously, this man doesn't fully understand what's going on, and he's upset about it, which that's what we were trying to stop. I mean, you guys should have got with them and the neighbors and got this thing squared away so that everybody understands it. That's the reason nobody's here, because obviously everybody understands it except this man here.
I understand. I didn't realize someone was confused about it.
But see, we have to base a lot of our opinion on surrounding areas. That's what we're paying this big money to do here.
I frankly didn't expect any pushback, and the reason, sir, is this is a downzoning. I mean, you
Yeah,
don't
that's
see
what
too many applicants coming forward with the downzoning. Really thought people would support it.
Yeah.
It's physically improving the property with recreational
I think he would, once
amenities.
you explain it to him so he can understand it.
Sir, I'll
I
be
think
happy to meet with you afterwards and talk to you
Y'all can get
about it.
together outside after the meeting and talk. I don't believe you understand it.
'Cause I promise you, we're not adding any units.
500 feet of our house, I understand.
But he's not adding anything.
He's not
He's
doing-
already approved for what he's got.
He wants to put 85 units on it.
They're there now.
No, sir.
They're,
Or not 85 units.
well, he's saying there is, you're saying, y'all decide. We don't know, we're not there.
All right.
Question for that, one last question for that. You said this is already on sewer?
Yes.
It's on
Yes, sir.
sewer. And it's city or county water, the water?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Is this the city of Coco's sewage or fresh water?
No, it's City of Cocoa, gotta be. I think.
Happen to know that offhand?
Mr. Chairman, the parcel is serviced by City of Cocoa Water and Brevard County Sewer.
Okay.
See, sir,
Thank you.
there's no septic tanks.
500 feet from our property.
Yeah, but you're still,
Well, that's what the notice says.
I know that, but still, he's not changing anything. He's already approved to do it, so.
Mr. Chair,
Anyway.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'll make a motion to approve this item.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion by Pete, we got a second by Ben. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And as he mentioned, if you would just get with him and just chat with him about that property.
Happy to do that.
Yeah,
That motion passed unanimously.
all we ask is that you guys be a good neighbor. That way it solves a lot of this stuff.
We're trying to, and I understand.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
How's it going, Pete?
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.